welcome to another video. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make jungle in the style of Coco Bryce, inspired by his tracks Wish We Didn't, Lovin U and Ma Bae Be Luv. The project file, samples and presets are available for a small contribution in the description. However, please be aware that I'm using Omnisphere here and that the vocal samples are from Splice, so won't be included in the project. I've also used Serum Effects and some third-party plugins too. If you find this video useful, then drop a like and consider subscribing. You can also request future tutorials in the comments. Our BPM is 160 and we are in the key of G sharp minor, although some of the notes from the main chords don't fit the scale, which helps create this project's jazzy feel. First, we have the drums group. We have this 909 inspired kick, and I've used this filter to soften the highs. You could use breakbeat kicks or an 808 with a big transient, but I felt like this project needed more transient attack in the low end. Next, we have the kick from the Soul Pride break. This is acting like an impact. Then we have the breaks group. And for this project, I've mainly used the Think and Soul Pride breaks. Coco Bryce uses Soul Pride in Wish We Didn't. I've used a combination of audio and MIDI, and this was so I could program the snare patterns more easily and experiment with different rhythms. First, we have the Soul Pride snare. I've used the kilohertz transient shaper to emphasize the snare's attack. Then we have an EQ boosting highs. This is layered with the think break snare throughout. Except for these little fills from the think break, which were inspired by Ma Bae Be Luv. Then we have the background breakbeat elements, which are ghost notes from the Soul Pride and think breaks. And we have the think tambourine as well. I'll play these together so you can hear the effect of the layering. Notice the various shouts that come from the think ghost notes. And this adds additional vocals to the project. Acting like a call and response with the main vocal. Finally, we have this aim and break fill, which was originally part of my manifesto project. On the breaks group, we have drum bus, and I've used the damping to soften the breaks. Then there's a saturator. An EQ is boosting high mids, adding more bite to the snares. Finally, we have the tambourine. And these are two of the same samples with one panned to the left and the other to the right. These are in a choke group, and I've taken the right hat down by 10 cents. So there's a subtle difference between the hats. we have this swing funker MPC groove applied to all the elements in the drums group except for the kicks. This helps add groove and syncopation, humanizing the breaks, which I quantized before bringing into the project. Finally, on the drums group, we have drum bus with more damping, parallel compression, and EQ. Then we have this low pass filter with identical filters applied to the vocals and to the melodic group. Coco Bryce uses lots of filtering in his music, particularly in Lovin U, and you could make your tracks even more dynamic than what I've done here, which is a simple low pass filter sweep going down. Reverb is applied to the drums via Sende. For this project, I've chosen the vintage drum echo preset, which I've tweaked. I've also utilized the subtle mode. Next, we have the 808, which is a sample. Here we have a jungly pattern inspired by Ma Bae Be Luv with lots of melodic leaps, which tends to create a lot of energy. On the channel, there's minimal saturation, as I thought the 808 sounded good, relatively clean. EQ removing rumble, and a sub sidechain rack with the 808 sub being sidechained by the kick. And this was because the kick and bass were clashing. Reverb is applied via Send A. Next, we have the effects, and these are sample based. First, we have the noise. Next, there's vinyl crackle, but I've time stretched it so it feels even more jungly. Finally, we have this bird tweet, and here I've added some EQ, serum effects utilizing a long reverb, and echo. On the group, we have drum bus, EQ, and chorus, plus reverb via A. Next, we have the melodic group. First, we have the Fairlight inspired chords, which are from Omnisphere. I'm pretty sure this is the exact patch that Coco Bryce uses in Wish We Didn't, and the chords are also inspired by this track. I've taken these notes off the grid and tweaked their velocities, and this humanizes them. I tried to work out what these chords were, but my music theory isn't quite good enough. I know the first couple are minor 9 chords, but if anybody knows the full progression, please put it in the comments and I'll pin it there. If you're making this style, try to construct these jazzy sounding chords, and for example, you can see that the G here isn't in the scale of G sharp minor, so using notes outside the scale might help you here. The Omnisphere preset is called Fairlight Anklevox. I haven't changed too much apart from increasing the attack, and I've turned off the effects. Firstly, on the channel, we have the first use of isotope vinyl in this project. This is using the warp effect, which is pitch modulation, as well as the low pass filtering that comes with the 1980s algorithm. I've used similar processing across the pad, piano, and vocals, and it creates a warm, warbly effect. Then we have an EQ and an echo. Next, we have this pad. I've humanized the MIDI as I did with the main pad. I'm essentially layering this sound with the Omnisphere pad in places, even though the notes and chords are different. This is from Labs, and it's the circular mms preset from Astral Forms. On the channel, there's drum bus, isotope vinyl, Serum FX reverb, and it's another longish reverb, EQ, and echo. Finally, we have the piano trills. You could think of the piano as a call and response with the chords. I've used the Ableton grand piano, but you could use other acoustic instruments. For example, on Wish We Didn't, Coco Bryce uses a strummed guitar chord. On the channel, the processing is similar to the previous patch. But if we look at the echo, we can see there's more feedback, and this creates a spacey tail. On the melodic group, there's very similar processing to what we had on the drums group. So drum bus, glue compressor, EQ, and the sweeping auto filter. This time we also have a chorus. Reverb is applied via send A. Lastly, we have the vocals. Here comes the way. Here comes the break of day. Here comes finding my way. A beautiful dreamer. Beautiful. These are from a Splice pack called Jazz Cuts featuring Alita Moses. They have that sweet syrupy sounding vocal tone that is reminiscent of the vocals Coco Bryce samples in Wish We Didn't and Lovin U. I experimented with different algorithms here as these have been pitched up. For example, the first clip of vocals has been pitched up by 8 semitones. In the end, I thought the Pro with formants around 54 sounded good. On the channel, we have drum bus with compression, and this makes the vocal sound more present. Here comes some way. Here comes some way. Then we have isotope vinyl, EQ, the sweeping auto filter, chorus, and echo. Although the echo is only at 10%, reverb is applied via A. Coco Bryce's vocals tend to be relatively dry, so that's what I've gone for here. And that's the video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.